Hey there guys, this is Cullen and Luka from MiniWarGaming coming to bring you the review of Age of Sigmar Skirmish, a little book they just released. Now we have a pairing with this video. It would be the actual game we played from one of the scenarios, the Clash at Dawn. Yeah, with the very first scenario in the book we played, and I liked it. It was a little silly.
Yep, it's definitely worth watching, so if you guys want to see that, we recommend you guys subscribe to the MiniWarGaming Vault, so you guys can get access to all of the videos that we do. And as for those of you who watch us, we do everything in pairs, so there's one free video on YouTube and another one in our vault. So you guys should go check that out because it helps keep us working and making you guys fun videos. And we wouldn't be here doing what we get to do without
Without the vault members.
Exactly. So we're going to get into our review, and I hope you guys stick around and watch the rest of the review and then go in and check out the rest of our video in our game afterwards.
We play and call it work.
Hey there MiniWarGamers, and welcome to Cullen and I's first review ever. Yeah, and we are doing the Age of Sigmar Skirmish supplement.
Yes, the brand new, again, we think it's called a supplement. It definitely doesn't give us an exact name, but it is a new rule set for playing Age of Sigmar under a smaller scale of miniatures. So instead of your typical, having units of 10 to 20 guys, you literally only have about 10 to 20 guys to start.
So it's an ode back to Mordheim, essentially, right? It's Age of Sigmar's Mordheim. It's skirmish games. It's definitely a different way to play the game.
Definitely. It is only 41 pages, this new edition, so there's
tiny,
there's not a lot of rules. I mean, there's more than the 4-page pamphlet they gave you at the beginning of Age of Sigmar.
You take the General's Handbook, there's your rules pretty much. It just tells you what not to bother to use. It doesn't actually change a lot at all. It just gives you a general basis of how to play this game. Sorry everyone, I am still a little bit sick.
So do you want to open up with the fluff and talk about that, Luka?
Yeah, might as well. Might as well jump right into it. It's the general idea is you have the mortal realms. This one takes place on the realm of death, Nagash's realm. And it's an old ancient city, Shadespire. And it was in the middle of the Desert of Bones. People, travelers, merchants, back and forth, coming back and forth, and they found these caves with ore inside of it, and they started building up around these caves. Eventually, a large city came about, a really impressive city. Now, what happened was, with anything like this, over time, a noble caste kind of popped up, and they were becoming a little arrogant, or I can't think of the proper word right now. They were too...
Uppity?
Sure, yeah, I can go with that. I couldn't think of the word, I'm sorry everyone, but they became too powerful. People started paying respect to them more, instead of Nagash, more to them. Anyways, they took this ore in the cave and they refined it and made glass out of it. It was kind of like an obsidian. It was like a clear black glass. And this glass had magical properties that allowed you to capture the essence of someone's soul so you could look at their final memories before they passed on. Now, this noble caste, they called themselves the Cataphrines? Cataphrines? Yeah, that's it.
Cataphrines with a K?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Catophrines.
Catophrines, yeah.
Catophrines. Anyways, they found a way to prolong their lives through the use of this glass, so they were spiritual leaders towards the end, as did a lot of other civilians. Anyways, Nagash was upset that he was being denied souls.
Nagash do.
As his, his main source, his main fuel, he wasn't about this. Anyways, essentially he just came by, bam, cursed the entire city, crushed it completely. Even those who were trying to leave the city were slaughtered at their own city's gates for fear of bringing the curse with them into their own city. Essentially, Nagash destroyed their souls even. They sent them to Oblivion. There was no afterlife for them. That was their punishment. And it went on like that for thousands of years before anyone even dared to look back at this place. Very taboo to go back here. No one wants to anger Nagash in the realm of death.
Understandably.
Anyways, over time, thousands of years later, tales turn into legends turn into myth, and then everyone still knows of the myths of all the treasures of these Cataphrines. Their method of making this glass and the power of this glass, not to mention the countless treasures left in the city as no one has gone back. That's the general idea of why everyone's interested in coming back here. Some are for artifacts of war, some are for ways to better civilization, some are just pure wealth, and some are just going there to fight.
Yep. Yep. Very almost reminiscent of the old Mordheim fluff.
This, the Mordheim fluff being Comet hits city, Comet's made out of great resource, everyone wants a resource, some just want to fight.
Everyone comes together and war bands fight and try to fight to see who can become the richest or the most powerful or,
And
again, the happiest at killing people. Who knows?
And again, the reason why there's no armies that just go to the city is because the desert is inhospitable. It's terrible. You can't march an army through it. They would just perish. So they just send little, much easier to manage war bands into the city instead.
Yep. So, and that's kind of how you get your skirmish-sized army or unit or war scroll or whatever you want to call it for this this little game.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much, that's the fluff right there. That's pretty much the general idea of it. It's an okay story. It makes sense. Like, it makes sense.
Yep, very in Games Workshop fashion, very reminiscent of what we've seen before, and just like all those other games, you can pretty much play all the factions that exist in Age of Sigmar. So you have access to your chaos, your order, your death, and your destruction. And now they have reduced some of the models you're actually able to play. Like you can't play a full range of, say, the Beast Claw Raiders.
Exactly.
There's only access to, what is it, the
Beast-
Mournfangs.
Yep.
You can only, that's it for the Beast Claw Raiders. Now there's some other ogres and whatnot, but so they've tried to keep the larger, more powerful multiple wound units. They seem to keep that to a very low number. It looks like some armies have access to a handful of the bigger stuff.
Yeah,
but
even so, you're only allowed 2 Mournfang as well.
Yes.
You cannot have any more than 2 in your warband.
Yes, the min
they're
and max.
expensive.
Yeah, the min and max is completely changed, and of course, price totals are relatively balanced to how powerful they are.
So, like, to give you an idea, like a Mournfang pack is 16 renown. They use renown as their points, right? Now you look at a clan rat, 1.
1.
Exactly. A skeleton, 2. A storm vermin, 3. And it all kind of sticks around that. And then you start looking at cavalry, 5. Then there's like nothing really in between that. So like 1 to 5. And then your big scary monsters are like 15 to 20. And then your generals are anywhere from 14, it looks like. Oh, 12. There's 12, 11 on another, 12 anyways. 12 to like 30 even. So some of the generals are crazy expensive. Now, I like the idea that they restrict. Obviously, it's a good idea they restrict what you're allowed to bring. It keeps it to a very small scale skirmish game, and it's like a way to internally balance, I suppose.
So for something like clan rats, or what else do we have? Something small like skeletons.
Yeah.
To prevent you from like just completely going, oh, I can spend 1 or 2 points. I'm going to buy 40 of them.
Exactly.
They have a limit to the number, just like in a typical war scroll.
Yep.
But for this, you're only allowed 1 war scroll in your entire
stipulation.
army.
So if you can't bring all clan rats. Clan rats are, what do we have here for clan rats?
Down at the bottom there.
Very bottom. So you're allowed to bring 1 war scroll of clan rats, and that war scroll can contain up to 20 clan rats.
And that's it.
That's it. And these are all still treated as individual units. Each 1 clan rat is each individual unit that activates separately. But you're only allowed to have 1 war scroll of a general, or a hero, sorry, and 1 war scroll of anything else. So certain things like the orcs or the iron jaws let them have that, like the massive choppa for every 1 in 5 models.
Yes.
If you bring, I'm not sure how many you're allowed to bring of them, but say you can bring 10, you can bring 2 of them, right? Can't quite. Orc.
Brutes?
Yeah, brutes. So, you're only allowed to bring 5. You're only allowed to bring 5 orc brutes, and so you're only allowed to bring that massive choppa 1 in 5. You're only allowed to bring 1 choppa.
And same with the, if we look here for Stormcast Eternals, which I believe is the next page, I think?
Next page, yeah, here they are.
Yeah, Stormcast
Massive Stormcast list.
has quite a bit, but the Retributors.
5.
Now, because they have the special weapons, the 1 in, I think it's 1 in 5 for them as well.
Yep.
But
only got 1.
1, so you can't kind of cheese yourself out on bringing all of the bigger weapons, just, lots of small units of bigger weapons. It's only limited to what you have.
Yep. And you know what? I think they did a pretty good job with that. There's a lot of, you look for some stuff. You can bring Storm Fiends. Storm Fiends is something you can bring. It's a little scary, but you're only allowed 1. You're allowed 1 Storm Fiend. They're not a hero. They're not a general. You can just bring 1, and they're 20 points. Most cases, they're going to be more than 50% of your warband.
Oh yeah, like the When you go to start in their campaign scenario, they give you 25 renown points to spend. So that would literally be 20 of your 25 points, and then you're still supposed to buy a general, which again usually costs more than 10.
So essentially, they suggest you start a campaign at 25 renown, like Colin said, and you have to buy a general. Therefore, you're not buying any Stormfiend.
Right off the bat. So there is kind of that cap of preventing somebody from just starting with, you know, one or two. We haven't went through all of it, so I'm not sure if there might still be a few combinations that allow you to do something like that, but I think for the most part they try to keep that to a minimum to keep that skirmishy feel of the game.
Yeah, so exactly. What was I going to say? I can't quite remember. Oh, anyways, the way they have it set up is even if you wanted to buy that Stormfiend, that 20-point Stormfiend, or a new general or a new hero, it takes longer than you'd think. Even you would need to win the way they have it set up, you need to win 2 major victories before you can even buy a Stormfiend.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So the way it works is just like in Mordheim, at the end of your games, you go to search for your weird stone or however much, and you get your value that you could then spend on equipment or buying new models, or I think that's it. Is that it?
Yep, pretty much. So this one is strictly you just buy more models. You win a game, buy more models.
You get a certain number of points for winning.
Yep.
And then you get to spend those points to up or buy more models. There's no upgrading. There's no stat increases. There's none of that.
Nope.
It is
Buy more
simply
models.
increasing your warband size.
Yeah, so it's like a Path to Glory, but smaller.
Smaller. Much smaller. Instead of getting to add that extra unit at the end of your game,
You add that extra model.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, like, to give you an idea, a major victory, they have either 6 scenarios. Each scenario has a specific victory condition, and they stipulate this is a major victory, this is a minor victory, draw and loss. A major victory grants you 10 renown, which you can then either store up or spend right away on extra models for the next game. Minor victory, 8 renown. A draw, if you somehow, well, it's very possible to get to a draw, but if you draw, 7 renown. And a loss is 6 renown.
Yep.
So you start falling far behind when you take losses.
Definitely, yeah. If you lose 2 games in a row against, say, if you're just playing this with one friend, suddenly
He's eight renown ahead of you.
he's 8 renown ahead, which again could be the difference of 8 models if you're buying 1 renown miniatures, or 4 if they're 2 renown points each, right?
Which brings us into a difference in renown. It's like an underdog bonus is actually what they call it, an underdog bonus. You get a little bonus if you're lower renown. So if you have 1 to 10 renown lower than your opponent, you get a reroll, and it stipulates what you can reroll. So only these things. So you get, for 1 to 10 renown, you get 1 reroll of a casting roll, a run roll, hit roll, save roll, a battle shock test. Now believe me, that's big.
That's the big one.
That's big. Unbinding roll, charge roll, wound roll, and damage roll. I mean, they can all be big, but that reroll, anything that lets you reroll battle shocks in this could be huge. We'll get into that. We'll get into detail about that shortly. But, oh boy.
And I remember when I first looked at this, I was like, why are they specifying so many? Like, you know,
Yeah, because if they just said reroll, then you could reroll like D3 mortal wound.
exactly.
Or like, yeah.
So they do specify. So it is like the typical rolls. None of your special. You pretty much don't get to reroll any of your special rules.
Yeah.
Any of those interesting little rolls you get there, those stay. But this is just for in-game kind of stuff. So it's kind of cool that they did kind of prevent you from doing things like that, which kind of, I think, cuts out some of the cheesier kind of stuff.
Just anything that cuts cheese is great, right?
Trying to make it as balanced as we possibly can.
The cheese knife of the book. Well, next after that, what would we have? Well, we can cover another reward of battle, the actual rewards of battle.
Sure.
We'll do that next, sure. So after every game, you see what kind of victory condition you get. Or sorry, if you get major victory, minor victory, draw, loss, all that. And then you get to roll on the rewards of battle. Now, this is both the winner and the loser of the game. They both get to roll on this table. Now, I'll give you an idea. There's an entire chart, and you roll 2d6. Now, if you won a major or minor victory, you get to roll 3d6 and choose any of those 2 dice to combine your result.
Yep, so you can kind of compare and figure out which exact of the 11 options you can actually then, or less than 11,
Yeah, so like, for example, you roll a 2, what do you get? You get
Fortuitous trinket.
fortuitous.
Fortuitous, my bad.
That's okay.
Words are hard.
So that one is seemingly mundane object has the power to alter destiny itself. So only in your next battle, not future battles, you may reroll a single dice roll you make for your general. Anything resembling your general. That's just the basic. You roll 2 1s. That's what you get for your next game. Now, next after that, warding glyph. saturated with protective magic. This curious sigil guards against mortal harm. Blah, blah, blah. In your next battle, you may reroll a die whenever your general suffers a mortal wound. On a 5-up, the wound is ignored. And that's like a 5-up ward against mortal wounds.
A lot of these things, we looked at them before we started this, and a lot of them just seem to benefit you in the next game you play.
Yep.
So, again, it's little things like almost giving you like an invul check or a ward save or little things like that.
Like
and
the healing elixir lets you heal D3 wounds in your hero phase.
Yep. But none of these things seem to have long-term effects. Like they're not dissimilar as like getting a +1 strength or +1 toughness for the rest of the game. It's very much this next game he gets to do this one little thing. And the other ones, as you get farther, there is 2 that are actually permanent things. You want to cover those?
Yeah, so Tactical Insight's the first one. Your general may randomly generate an additional command ability from the command abilities table in this book. This book does have its own specific command abilities table, which we'll cover shortly. You're allowed to use your general's built-in command ability if they have one, or you may take one from the book. But this, if you roll a 9, Tactical Insight lets you randomly generate an additional ability that you may use in your further battles throughout the campaign. And then after that, Ancient Relic. You may randomly generate an additional artifact for your general. So again, you can roll extra command ability or extra artifact.
But those are kind of the only things that you're actually able to like add to your characters, and the only thing is it only gets to add to your leader as well. So, and that's it. And then the other ones, if you roll an 11 or 12, those ones actually give you bonus renowned, correct?
Yep. So
or 6 to 8 actually as well.
So 6 to 8, you get D3 extra renown, which you can immediately spend. 11 gives you D6 renown, and a 12 just straight up just 6 base 6 renown. That's a cavalry right there, 1 cavalry model, or 6 clan rats.
Or that's literally the equivalent of losing a game. As playing a whole other game and losing it. Because you still do get, even if you do lose, you still get something. You don't just get nothing. So that's a nice little benefit there.
Now, one more thing about the Ancient Relic, which gives you another relic. If your warlord's a wizard, you get extra cool spells. Now, they give you extra spells in this book as well. And you have to roll for them randomly. There's 3 of them. One of them, Twilight Pathway. Twilight Pathway has a casting value of 5. If successfully cast, pick a friendly model within 12 inches of the caster. You may remove that model from the battlefield and place it anywhere that is more than 9 inches away from enemy models. And it may not move in the subsequent...
Almost like a mini teleport spell?
Yep. So standard stuff, can't move in the movement phase, 9 inches away for that charge. The Shard Mist, casting value 6. Your next hero phase, your opponents must, until the start of your next hero phase, opponents must subtract 1 from any hit rolls they would make in the shooting phase when targeting the caster or any models within 6 inches of that caster. So they get a soft cover if you're familiar with that, right? And then the final one is Soul Siphon. It has a casting value of 5. These are all very low casting values. If cast, pick a model, friend or foe, within 12 inches of the caster. That model suffers a mortal wound, and the caster immediately heals 1 wound suffered earlier in that battle. But your caster can't go over the maximum wound characteristic. So if you're stuck up, your 5's your cap, you stay at 5, don't go any higher. But it's very basic. You take a wound, I gain a wound.
Yep, and those are the 3 extra spells. And again, if your leader is a wizard, if he gets one of those, he keeps it.
Yep, you can roll the Ancient Relic, and bam, you get an extra spell in addition to whatever they already have, Arcane Bolt and Mystic Shield.
Yep, so that can be definitely super, super cool. But again, as opposed to that, there is not much of the upgrading of the individuals as much as there is the increasing of the numbers of the individuals.
Yep, so you just get a bigger warbands, and you get a minor bonus for your next game, for the most part, other than those 2 rewards of battle.
But now let's actually go into we kind of just talked about the campaign kind of long-term in between games, but let's actually kind of cover the game itself.
Yeah, so the game itself uses the General's Handbook, the basic rules, right? Nothing crazy there, except you must have a general, same old thing, has to be a hero, have to buy that first. They aren't able to use the Inspiring Presence ability, so there's...
That command ability is completely removed.
You always have to take Battle Shock tests. But they're able to pick from the command abilities, which we'll cover shortly in the book, or use the one they have built in. Battle Shock test. Now this one is kind of cool. You don't, at the end of each round, you take Battle Shocks as normal. You use your general's leadership, only your general's leadership.
Bravery.
Bravery, I meant bravery. So use your general's bravery. If your general's removed, your base bravery for your warband is set to 5.
So for some people that could be huge, like
Undead.
an undead leader with bravery 10.
Yep.
Second he's gone, now your bravery's down to 5.
Brutal.
So, and the way bravery works and our battle shock works is it's essentially like taking a battle shock test on an entire unit, but that unit is your entire warband. So it's however many models you lost in the in the turn
For your entire warband.
for your entire warband.
Yep.
So even if you have 6 plague monks and 2 of them died, that's across your entire team.
Yep.
It's not just them, it's your entire team. So just like if in the normal game, if you roll above your number, you add them together, and for every number that you exceed your bravery by, that many models run.
Yep. But you say that you get to pick them, but they flee off the table. I like it. It's simple and it's effective, and it is devastating.
It can be brutal.
Yes.
Because
That's why rerolling battle shocks is massive, because it affects your entire warband, not just the one war scroll that they're from. What else has changed? Oh, summoned. What changed about summons?
summoning's been completely removed.
Yeah, you're not allowed to summon.
Nobody can summon. Which is, that's always been, from when the game first came out, summoning has always been a question mark in the in the Age of Sigmar
Better
building.
to just remove it.
Yeah, for a game like this, it's not necessary. I don't think it's more about the warband itself and not about making the warband bigger in game, more of making the warband bigger out of game.
Yep.
So just removing that whole thing just cuts out all of that question and just makes it simpler, a lot easier to pick up and play with you and your friends.
Another thing is, well, they call it Skirmish Formations, where every individual model is considered a unit. Now, the big thing with that is you're still allowed to play with your unit command.
Yes.
So your banners and your musicians, they only affect the war scroll that they're from. So say you buy a war scroll of Plague Monks. The banner of the Plague Monks is only allowed to affect the Plague Monks, and so is the musician. But they only have a 6-inch bubble that they affect around themselves.
Because a lot of those command models, they just say, if you have one, the unit gets to do this thing. It gets to add +1 to its charge.
Yep.
Now, because normally in the game your unit's always together, so
always
that's never really a problem. But for this, it does specify now you have to be within 6 inches of that command to get that benefit. So, just making it a little bit more simple for the skirmish style, and maybe giving you benefits for keeping them together, and so maybe that changes the way you play. The one thing that they didn't actually mention
about
is champions.
They say nothing about unit champions. It only says musicians and banners.
Yep.
It says nothing about bringing champions.
Yep. So we're not quite sure at this point whether you can bring a champion and it gets its additional attack or +1 to hit or whatever your champion in that unit happens to have. So we didn't bring any for the game.
We just played it without using champions. We stuck to the musicians and standard bearers though.
Just to get those benefits and just to play around and see how that works. And it is kind of hard sometimes to keep everybody within that. It's only a 6-inch bubble. That's not that big.
Especially considering some of the scenarios.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's definitely something we'll get to. But so that's a little interesting thing. But I would like to see if they're going to maybe errata or just include something about how you play with champions, or whether you do, because it would have been nice just to put like a little line in there. Either you can include them or you can't.
I like the idea of a champion running around the little battlefield. It's kind of cool. He's got one more attack than everyone else.
Yep. I think that would be cool and getting a bit more power, but we'll see if they say anything about that in the future, because that is one of the few things
that might come up a lot.
Yeah, that was one of the few things that we weren't sure, and we kind of, we went to make our war bands and we built them up, and then we're like, wait, does this work? And then we checked, and they said nothing about it. So,
well, yeah. I mean, if you wanted to agree to use the champion, I'm sure if you both use a champion, it wouldn't matter.
Exactly. If you and your friends both agree that we want to include them, and go ahead. Like that's
no harm.
For us, we just weren't sure, so we just shied away from it.
Yep.
But I don't think it makes a huge impact on the game, but it could if your guy goes from having 2 attacks to having 3 attacks. So,
next thing, allegiance abilities. So you know how you have your there's the 4 grand allegiances. Your warband always has to owe allegiance to one of the 4 major allegiances. So you have chaos, death, destruction, order. Now, the abilities of those allegiances, you're only allowed to use the main ones. You can't go off of the other books. So you're always using Order's allegiance ability of, I think it's rerolling battle shocks, I'm pretty sure, within your general.
Yeah, from what we read here,
Which is probably huge.
Yeah.
I would say that's just a reroll on the battle shock. Great, that's awesome. I love rerolling battle shocks.
And that's, it seems really smart from their perspective because a lot of these books haven't also come out yet. They're still there's not that many of the army specific books,
perfect.
right?
That's a great example.
Like that's
keep it simple.
Exactly. Like, and it also prevents anything in the future from possibly breaking this. So if there's a book that comes out a year from now, and they've added a new allegiance ability that suddenly is ridiculous for this game. Well, maybe it's something battle shock related, maybe it's something attack related. Who knows? But it just prevents any of that they do in the future from possibly breaking this.
Well, there's the Blades of Corn one, which gives you the Blood Tide table.
Exactly.
Where you can summon a
Demon
of Corn.
So then you're, it's completely changed the game almost too much, I think, for this style of game. And I like what they've done in just keeping it simpler again.
Yep.
Just trying to trim some of the fat down and get it to a simple game that anybody can kind of pick up.
That's that's all. I think that's all they've changed. I think you still have the 3 rules of 1, obviously.
Of course.
It says here, just to remind you.
Yep, definitely.
The rules of 1 are still a thing, and we played it with you still steal turns. You take the steal the initiative.
The initiative step still exists, so that definitely can
It doesn't say either or, but we figured use everything from the General's Handbook, and just change whatever it says here.
Yep.
And now we could probably go into the command abilities, the artifacts, and they even changed the terrain up.
Yeah, actually, they did add a little bit to the terrain chart.
Yep. So we'll start with the command abilities. You are able to have your general or hero, your general, pick from these command abilities, or you can roll on it, it says that. Or you can keep the one that he has built in already. So the first one, Inspirational Fighter. You can reroll hit rolls of 1 for friendly models within 6 inches of your general until your next hero phase. Standard. They have one for wounds as well. Merciless Killer, same thing. You reroll wounds. You reroll hit roll. Oh, no, this one's different. Add 1 to the wound rolls you make for friendly models. So the first one, you reroll hits of 1. Second one, you add 1 to the wound rolls.
Yep, I think there's one farther down that lets you reroll ones to save.
Yep, Tenacious Defender, you reroll failed saves of 1. And Crusader, you can reroll failed charge rolls.
Yep.
That's huge. Within 6 inches of your general.
Wow.
These are all within 6 inches of your general.
I like this one. I didn't see this one before, but you can add 2 to your general's bravery for battle.
I did not see that one at all. Reserves of Courage, you can add 2 to your... You see, we're kind of highlighting bravery here. Battle Shock.
Yeah, you can kind of tell, because did we cover... Oh yeah, we went over how Battle Shock works and how devastating or not it could be to your actual army, because the one thing we didn't cover is how you win.
Yep. So I assume once we cover how you win, each scenario has different win conditions, but it doesn't feel good when you have a warband of like 10 guys or 14 guys and you lose 3 of them to a bad battle shock roll. That is not nice.
Because similarly to how in Mordheim and Necromunda and the other skirmish games, there is similar to a route test.
Yeah. So like the first scenario is if you ever lose more than half of your warband, you lose flat out. There's nothing. You're just done.
That's it. So if you start with 7 models, you lose 4.
You're done.
You're done.
Yep.
There's no possibility of rolling really well or rolling snake eyes to keep yourself around. The second a turn ends and you have less than half your models, you lose.
So it's even worse when you're rolling bad on battle shocks. You lose a couple guys, you roll a 6 on the battle shock, you lose 2 more guys.
And that's it, right? Because
and then you're out.
Because if you've lost a lot of guys, this is really going to affect how your battle shock works. So not only have you already lost, maybe 2 or 3 miniatures, you might be losing 2 to 3 more when it comes to your battle shock.
And before you know it, half your warband's gone.
And the game's over.
Yeah. So we played that 25-point game, right? So
yes,
we played a quick little mini game before we even recorded the first one, just to get into the game, just to play it out easier. It was just 25 renown. I played against Cullen. I went first. I killed. How many models did you have? 7?
Yeah, I think at that point I had 7.
He only had 7 models. I went in. I killed.
You killed 2.
I killed 2 models. I killed 2. He didn't kill anyone. Went to his bravery. He rolled 6. His bravery was 6. He rolled 6. lost 2 more models, lost the game.
Yep, and
half just one turn, half a round, game was over.
Now that is that's 25 points, so very small scale.
Very
That
small
is
scale.
what they have you start the campaign at, but they also have in the campaign that you play 6 missions, and again, you're gaining 6 to 10 renown points per.
Yep.
So you can very easily, very quickly boost that number way up high. So that's not that big of a deal, but it was kind of, it did kind of make us realize how important that is, and how, Battle Shock can
Just win on the first turn, right?
Yeah, make or break your games.
One more command ability to cover, Indomitable Will. You can attempt to unbind one spell in each of your opponent's hero phases until your next hero phase. If your general is a wizard, they can attempt to unbind one additional spell instead. So even if you don't have a wizard, you can unbind.
Yep, that's pretty cool.
Yep. And again, you get to roll on this table or pick whatever you and your opponent decide to want to do. I think we just rolled.
We rolled just to play, just because, we didn't really want to go over them and try to, match and try to make the most powerful. We just wanted to have some fun with it.
Yep.
So we just rolled randomly.
I think Cullen got reroll 1s when hitting, and I got to add 1 to my wounds.
Yes.
It's pretty basic. Next, we have the artifacts. Now again, your general is allowed to take artifacts from the allegiance he owes for his grand allegiance. Anyways.
Again, which can be found in the General's Handbook in the section for order, chaos, blah, blah, blah.
So you're allowed to take those artifacts, or you can choose to roll on this table. Again, we rolled, or pick, depending on whatever you and your opponent want to do. So starting off, we have a Blessed Amulet. You get 1 more wound to your general's wound characteristic.
That could be big.
It could be big. Like by the way, the generals you're using, they're not big, scary guys.
Yeah.
These are like Cairn Wraiths and like, what was yours?
Plague Priest?
Like a Plague Priest. Yeah, just like tiny, like 4 wound, 5 wound models.
Yeah, no, it would be interesting to see what the Stormcast Eternals actually.
Yeah, you know what? We're going to skip that because I'm a little curious. So for generals, they get Knight Azeros, Knight.
Okay, so you still can get the Lord Relector and the Lord Castellan. Oh, decent. But look at their point cost though.
Yes, they are pretty much your army.
Yep. So it looks like you can almost get all of the Stormcast. Now I wonder if you can get all the Sylvan F. So you can get most of the Sylvan F minus the Tree Lords.
Thankfully.
For the Iron Jaws, almost everything that they've released minus the I don't remember what the big guy on the dragon is.
The guy riding the maw something. I can't remember his name. But you know what we mean? The big dragon maw, the big issue guy.
So yeah,
all your generals are on foot. They're basic 4 wounds, 5 wounds.
And I think the only again, I just want to check if there's any like the bigger non-single models, or because the only thing I've seen that's not a actual singular model is the Skaven have the Doom Wheel. They have access to the Doom Wheel.
Yes.
Which is kind of a siege.
You can have Dragon Ogres.
Dragon Ogres, okay.
Yep.
But again, it's still more of a foot cavalry soldier. I'm just trying to look for anything that's more, along the lines of a siege engine, or there's a chariot.
Okay. Yep.
So you can get a Korgorath if you're playing Bloodbound.
Yep.
So
again, these are all expensive. Like the Korgorath 16 renown.
Oh yeah.
That's a win and a loss right there, and you're not going to be able to afford. And you can. There's match play where you do just set your renown to a certain point. Like you can play a 100 renown game.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you and your friend, or you go to a game store and you just want to play just a random one-off game, then you can set your points to whatever you want. If you want to set it to 25, 50, 75, 80. Doesn't really give you any kind of limits or restrictions to any of that, just kind of whatever you feel up to.
Now the next artifact, back to artifacts, Soul Sever Blade. Pick one of your general's melee weapons. You may reroll failed wounds. Basic, simple, you just reroll wounds for your general's weapon. Cursed Tome. Add 1 to any of your casting rolls you make for your general. However, if you roll a double 1, your general suffers a mortal wound after this spell is resolved.
Cool. Giving you a little bit of a negative effect if something happens.
So +1 to your casting, but roll a double 1s, you take like a perils or like a miscast.
Yeah, exactly. Just kind of getting a little bit of those elements of the old games in there.
Yep. Oblivion Charm. If your general is slain, roll a die for each enemy model within 3 inches of them before removing the model. On a 4-up, they suffer a mortal wound themselves, so they kind of blow up.
Yep. Kind of punching the guy on his way out,
Yep. So these seem very basic for the most part. I see this is my favorite one, the Mask of Horror. I like this one. Your opponent must roll a die for each time they wish to target your general in the combat phase for every model. On a roll of a 1, the model being rolled for is paralyzed by fear and may not attack this turn. So not only do they do nothing to the general, you give up your like attack step, right? You know, you take turns picking attacks. You would choose to attack with them. You fail your attack. You're too afraid to attack, and you're done.
Back to the initiative and to your opponent. Then he gets to choose. So that one can be really big because it doesn't even have a limit to what the model is. So even if you charge in with a big, you know, you say one of the Mornfang from the Beast Claw Raiders, or you know, a big model with multiple attacks, he gets to make none.
You roll a 1. He's too afraid to attack. What can you do?
Just nothing. Which, and again, when it's against your general, which some of the victory conditions, you know, the difference between a minor and a major victory is ending the game after killing your opponent's general, or winning the game and having your opponent's general still on the table. So that could make a big difference into, you know, giving you a bonus to renowned after you win.
See, now with me, like, especially when your generals are so weak and frail and they have such small wounds, anything to give them defensive capabilities is nice.
Definitely. And I think that's I think that's better than just giving them a basic, like, you know,
reroll wounds,
or
that's
reroll
fine.
Saves of 1 or something like that. I think that's bigger.
Now this final one, we have the Helm of Authority. Once per battle in your hero phase, your general can use 1 command ability chosen from the table. So the command table in here, if you have this helmet, you can choose to activate one of them in addition to one of your own. But you can't use the same command ability twice. So 2 command abilities could be huge. I'm not too sure. Options are always good.
I think that one would definitely benefit is if your hero or your leader definitely has some really good built-in command ability.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the random ones or the ones they give you here necessarily are powerful enough to like want to in regards to, you know, being able to on a 1 have your opponent not attack.
Yep. And now we can probably go over to the terrain. I'm not too sure how many people play with terrain. We do sometimes.
Yeah, I know here we definitely don't really play with the mysterious terrain tables.
It's a lot of administrative work.
Yeah, a
lot of upkeep.
We did definitely when the game first came out, but yeah, we found that for how much, you know, actual work you have to keep in, you know, making sure, what is that one again? Marking it, going through all that, it doesn't actually change the game that much.
Yeah, but for some, they love it. First one we have is Cursed. Some of these are similar. Sorry.
Yeah, so I think that one's the exact same, that if you go through, or if you walk within 3 of the terrain feature, on a roll of a 1, the model is slain.
Suffers a mortal wound.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
That's actually, so that is the difference, I believe.
It is suffer a mortal wound.
Not slain, because I believe in the General's Handbook it is slain. Is it not?
I can't remember, actually. Again, it's been so long since I played with scenery.
I know.
The next one is Arcane. Add 1 to the result of any casting or unbinding roll made for wizards within 3 inches. That one is the same, I believe. That one is very
I believe
similar.
so, yeah.
It's even Arcane's the same. Emboldening, this one's different. If your general is within 3, it's different. It's different because of the way Battle Shock works. If your general is within 3 inches of this terrain feature when you are taking a Battle Shock test, you can choose to reroll the result. So if your general is just hanging around this terrain the entire game, you get to reroll Battle Shocks again. Who doesn't love doing that?
Yep.
Crumbling, this one's new.
Yes.
So you pick a terrain piece and they nominate it as Crumbling. Roll a dice each turn or each time one of your models runs or charges within 1 inch of this terrain feature. On a roll of a 1, the terrain collapses and is removed. The model triggered of the collapse is slain outright.
So it's literally the you know, say if it's a big rock, it's the chance of
crumbling rock.
It's teetering, and you know, you roll a 1 and there it goes.
So you take the terrain off the table and you take that model off the table too.
I think that one's kind of funny.
I like to picture like a nice hill, nice grassy hill just crumbles away. Nothing.
Just falls through.
Enchanted, in your hero phase, choose 1 model within 3 inches of this terrain feature and roll a dice. On a 3 or more, you can reroll failed wound rolls for that model until your next hero phase. It's like what was the basic rules one, but it has like a downside. If you roll a 1, you can't do anything.
Right.
They're paralyzed by the beauty of the terrain. This one doesn't have that. You just roll a die on a 3 up. You get to reroll wounds for that model. And again, the final one, the Foreboding. Players must subtract 1 from any hit rolls they make for models within 3 inches of this terrain. That's it.
Yep.
You just subtract 1 from your hit rolls.
Yep. Again, I don't think any of these would make a huge impact on your game. So whether you want to play with them or without them, I think is kind of up to you.
Yep. If you're just playing a supporting, you put a supporting character up there that you don't want hit. You just kind of hit them up there, hide them up there, keep them safe. Say you're playing a general that does nothing but help out the team, doesn't actually do any damage. You just put him up there, he's safe.
Yep.
safer.
Safe-ish.
Yeah. Like, what's next? Well, we can go into the campaign and how they have the campaign set up. So again, the way it works is the campaign, we'll move on to the campaign. 25 points, I suggest you start with. And then it has a predetermined scenario game plan.
They give you 6 custom scenarios for Age of Sigmar Skirmish.
Yep.
Which are all, again, brand new. Play it on a 4x4 table.
Yep. Same idea. And they tell you which order to play them in to best experience the idea of the campaign and how to keep it best balanced. And each scenario is pretty different. So the first one, you have Clash at Dawn, which is one Cullen and I played.
Yep.
This one is completely random deployment.
All over the place. You literally just roll a dice, and depending on what quadrant and what number you roll, that's where you place them.
You put your model, and they can't be within 9 inches of any other models, and if you can't place them, they go into reserves or reinforcements to come on later. It's crazy. The action starts right away. You've got turn 1 charges. And it's kind of cool because you can only see 12 inches.
Yes.
First turn, your line of sight's only 12 inches, and then second turn 18 inches, then you get full vision after that.
So I think that helps for anybody with, if someone's got really overpowered shooting armies. I don't know how good some of the shooting units are in here, but I know we only played with one, so it didn't come up too much.
No.
But
It only had an 8-inch range.
and I was going to say, even that had an 8-inch range, so that didn't come into play at all, actually. But you can kind of see where, if you had some guys with bows, it's just so you can't deploy on one side of the board and just pick off your opponent's guys just first turn.
The next one, so it's Clash of Dawn, and then the next scenario is Treasure Hunt, which it's your basic, you set up in one corner, the other guy sets up in another corner. There's objectives called hordes right in the middle of the table. You have to go up to them and just hold them, essentially, until they activate.
Seems like a very basic, just objective game, and trying to roll, I believe you have to try to roll a 6 when you're by one of these hordes to find an artifact.
Yep. And then you again, it's stipulated if you wipe out the entire enemy warband, you get a major victory. Ooh, big surprise. Next one is Fragile Cargo. It's the same idea where you have a very narrow deployment zone as you're defending the cargo, you're bringing it through the territory, like maybe you just found something valuable and you're trying to get it back to your war camp. And
Your
you have
opponent gets to deploy
an interceptor line. Yep. So you get the idea. Same win conditions with there. You're trying to get the cargo through the battle line, and you're trying to stop them. The other player's trying to stop them. And then Vortex of Power is one player is like a ritualist, setting up
trying to summon a vortex, right?
Yep. You're summoning a vortex, and then the other person is trying to disrupt them. So the ritualist has a 24-inch deployment line halfway up the table, get an entire zone, whereas the disruptor starts 6 inches up their table line. And then the next one after that is an Assassinate Mission.
This one, I just even like the
I like the
little
deployment. This one
diagram
looks
they
really
give you.
cool. I like the
Because the
Assassinate
deployment, the target, so there's the target and then there's the assassin, so the target has to set up in the middle of the board.
They have a foot-by-foot cube right in the middle of the table they set up, whereas the assassin's team sets up the entire perimeter of the board.
Yep, 3 inches away, and again, they have to attempt to assassinate.
Yep, and the general.
Yep.
This is as simple. You're trying to kill the general. Once the general's dead, you automatically win. And the other team must survive for a certain amount of turns. Yeah.
Seize the relic is the next one.
Actually, yeah, this one actually is different. So you have a relic. So you have your 4x4 map. You have the relic up in the corner, and it's surrounded by walls, like its own little barricade, its own little defense. And then you set up on the left side of it, and the other player sets up on the south side of it, and you're just both trying to rush towards it, grab the relic, and take it back to your table side, while the opponent's doing the exact same thing. So same idea, wipe out the other team's warband, you win. You get the relic off your table side, you win.
You get a major victory that way.
And that's the main one. The relic one is the main one. So the way they have the campaign set up is you play the first one, Clash at Dawn. The winner gets more renown, the loser gets a little bit less. You add to your warband, you play the second one, you play the third one, you play the fourth one, and then by the time you get to this final one, it's a winner takes all. Whoever wins this last one wins the campaign.
And now by that time, you guys are, your warbands that started with 25 points. I guess if somebody wins all 5, could technically be up to 75 points?
Yeah, that's a major victory every time. So
and that's not including any of the
rewards table
the
stuff.
rewards, say if you roll a bunch of the ones that give you D6 or whatever. So
your renowns could be all over the place by the end of this campaign.
And the cool thing about the campaign is, for this specific one, is the last mission's the only one that matters.
Yep.
Kind of. Regardless of if you've lost all 5 missions before that, if you win that, you win the campaign. So it really is 5 missions to try to build up a warband with as much power as you can get it, and throw it at your opponent and try to get that relic.
I like that one. That's kind of cool. Now that I look at the setup, I like the idea of it. Yeah, so you only have 2 entrances as well. Like one entrance is right in front of the enemy's warband, and one entrance is right in front of yours.
Yep.
And then after the campaign, you pretty much retire your warband, and then you just start again.
It would be interesting to see if this is something they want to continue with, and if this does well, whether they're going to release some more scenarios, or even you at home creating some of your own custom ones. Like the one thing they didn't have is just a basic one. Hey, you set up within 12, and you just almost have like a gang fight. Or
Like a gang fight, like a battle line, like 12 inches up, 12 inches up.
They didn't even give you an actual.
Yeah, each scenario is very unique. Well, each scenario is unique.
Yep, they didn't even give you that. So the fact that you might have to make up some of your own, but I think that's half the fun of this game.
Yeah, I like
is
that.
Getting to play out these little fun custom things, and it doesn't really say how many people you should be doing this with. You could play this with 2, we could play this.
We could. I would have tons of fun if Cullen and I just started the first one and played it right through. That'd be great fun.
Or say if you would 3 friends want to do it, you could switch in between and still work at this together, and even potentially you could get to the last one and have the 2 war bands.
Yep.
Like you could have 2 separate games of the same thing going on, and then even one further game of the winners of both of the relics, and see who wins that way. So
Yeah,
I
you
think
just make sure everyone gets to play the one scenario once, and then you move on to the next one, so on and so forth. And
So I think there's a lot of fun that you could do with this, and they give you very light structure, so you can kind of play and add and go ahead and do whatever you really want and make it last as long or as short as you feel this campaign needs to be.
Yep. And even with the Seize the Relic one, if you have 4 players, you just alter the table where you have the relic set up right in the middle, and then you have coming in from all 4 angles.
Oh, exactly.
Same thing with a 3-player game.
Because this is only a 4x4 table, or 4x4. So if you make it a 4x6, you just drop that down into the center, and you could totally just alter it that way, which is even. I didn't even think of that, but that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, just like it'd be like a triumph and treachery kind of game. Almost at that point.
A 4 for all, or
whereas
3
normally
for all,
you play out the scenarios one-on-one, you could just make Seize the Relic just a massive free-for-all.
And in this kind of skirmish game, I think it would be a little silly, but I think that's half the fun.
Yeah, you could just use the triumph and treachery rules easily for this. What else was there? Oh, I just want to say I like the Clash at Dawn. The first scenario they throw you in for the campaign it's just chaotic. Like anyone could win that one. It kind of throws off a random victor because whoever wins the first scenario is going to get that little lead. So at least the Clash at Dawn is just completely random.
And I think it's a kind of funny way to start yourself off of how do we play this? All over the board.
Yep.
Get in there. Get fighting. Get shooting. Get casting spells on targets turn 1. And just kind of let you feel out your warband.
I'm going to go ahead and assume that pretty much everyone that plays Clash at Dawn is going to have a quick game.
Yes.
I'd be surprised if it went to 3 turns.
Yep, because even I'm not going to give that away. That's for you if you guys watch that in the vault. So
we do have a game set up already played in the vault ready for you guys. We play Clash at Dawn. Now, what shall we cover next?
Is there anything left, or have we kind of covered it all?
I think we may have covered the entire book. Again, it's not a very long book.
No, there isn't a lot to it, and again, there's out of the 41 pages, there is a decent amount, at least.
I think more than half of it is
at
fluff.
At least, what is that? Page 16 is where the rules start.
So you got 15 pages of fluff. The same, you get. It's always like that. And you know what? It was a good read.
Oh yeah, no, it was fun and light, and I like this. And I hope they do more of this.
This is a good idea. It's not as in depth as the old specialist games were.
No, definitely not. Which I mean that was.
It was nice.
I love those games for that aspect.
When you have the time to put in to learn the rules and explaining these rules to someone new, not very optimal. Especially when you don't have a lot of time to play.
Yeah, and I think this is. They've always tried to find different fun ways to get people into their games, and unlike playing Mordheim or that, where there is a slightly different rule system than the basic game, this is pretty much the same rule system as the basic game. Yeah. So you literally are learning Age of Sigmar while playing
exactly
Age of Sigmar Skirmish.
So you can pick this up it took us like maybe 5 minutes to pick it up.
Oh,
read,
yeah.
read the rules, changes. Oh, this all makes sense. Right into the game.
Because you got to remember the rules for maybe 3, 4, 5 different guys, and there's only one of them each, so nothing too crazy. Even if you do forget a rule here or there, it shouldn't impact anything massively in your first few games.
I like this one actually. Now, one thing we forgot to mention is that they have a pre-built campaign for you, like we said, but they have special rewards at the end of each of the scenarios in addition to the rewards you would normally get.
Yes.
So for the first one, you play Clash at Dawn. There's no rewards. You just play it and you move on to the next one. It's called they call it the City of the Dead. You finally enter the city of Shadespire. Now, to the winner of that one, it's the treasure hunt one where you have to collect the hoard. The winner randomly generates an artifact of power from the artifact of power table.
So now that would be, so that's in addition to whatever bonus you've already gotten.
You could just get that twice.
Yep.
You could roll for it and then get it again. Now, if you already, I'm pretty sure it says under artifact, ancient relic, if you already roll an artifact, so if you roll the same artifact twice, if you get the artifact again, you treat it as the heroic saga instead, which is D3 renown.
Okay.
So if you do end up re-rolling, you don't get to re-roll on the table until you get something new. If you re-roll the same artifact twice, you just get D3 renown instead.
So even that could just boost your income even that much higher, which is very nice.
So yeah, this one again. If you win a major victory on the second scenario, you get to pick an artifact from the table. That's huge. You get to pick your mask. I like the mask. I would go for the mask right away.
You really do like that. But yeah, so and just getting those little differences between the minor and major victory, but
it feels great.
Yeah, and the win conditions of the difference between minor and major actually make sense.
Yep.
And aren't too different.
Yep. Like the assassinate scenario, you only get a minor victory if your general dies. If you go to assassinate the other general and you kill him, but your general also dies, it's only a minor victory.
Mm-hmm.
The third scenario for the campaign is the fragile cargo one. They call it the Ancient Warlord. And if you win this one, you randomly generate a command ability from the command abilities table. If you are a major victor, you get to pick it. So you get, right away you get a command ability, or a free one for winning, and you get to pick it if you get a major victory. The Soul Well, they call the fourth one. This one is the Vortex of Power. So that explains the whole Vortex of Power. You're trying to channel the Soul Well, and the other person is trying to stop you. To the winner, 3d6 renown. That's crazy. Wow, if I was to be honest, I didn't see the 3, I see d6 renown. That's cool. And I'm like, 3d6. That's huge.
Yep.
Huge.
Literally getting a bonus 18 possible renown at the end of a game, which...
That's a Storm Fiend.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know why he likes the Storm Fiend so much.
They're powerful. They are so powerful, it's crazy. And then Empowered by Death is the fifth scenario. You're playing the Assassinate one, and the winner randomly generates a command ability. Same thing, major victory.
So there you go. You get a bonus command ability.
So if one command, then if you win a major victory in the next battle, can use the command ability in addition to any other. Wow, so that's once per battle. That's for every one of your battles afterwards.
Oh.
But then again, you only really have one scenario after this one.
Yes, that's true. That is the second to last, and then when you win,
Bone Storm. Boy, do I love World of Warcraft.
Wow, how did we get there?
Bone Storm.
But the extra spoils of winning the last mission is you win the overall campaign.
Well, congratulations.
So
if you win a minor victory, you win the game. If you win a major victory, you win the campaign.
But I mean, once you're finished the campaign, nothing says you can't continue with those warbands. Continue building them up from there.
You can just keep playing you just roll for these scenarios, keep playing these scenarios over and over again until you feel like you want to make a new warband.
Yep. Which again wouldn't be too hard or take too long, but
the one thing it does take away from the whole specialist game is the customizing models. I'm used to that. That's what I'm used to doing.
That is very true. The fact that you don't really get to change the equipment. You can't buy new armors other than like the artifacts and the command abilities.
Yep.
Like that side of the modeling, which again, like Luka said, is one of the most fun parts of Mordheim and Necromunda. And after each game, getting to sit down and be like, well, I got to cut this off and put this weapon on.
Yeah.
There's none of that. There's just like Age of Sigmar, you kind of get the weapons the way you build them, which is good in a different way because that for certain people, I know a lot of people might not like that aspect of the games because it is for the people who prefer the games more than the hobby side. That the games like Mordheim definitely favor those who like the hobby side of the game. So This, I think, is more friendlier for those people who just want to play.
Just play the game. Mm-hmm. If I just, I think that's my. If I had to choose which part of the hobby I like the most, is playing the game.
I don't know what I
It's a tough
actually
call.
have to choose.
It's a tough call.
That's
Play the
that's a
game.
whole different
I
argument.
love playing the game.
I don't think I can answer that right here, right now. That's quick.
And the final section of the book we haven't covered is skirmish match play, where you just want to have a pickup game. They give you, if you want to randomly generate they only give you 3 battle plans you can randomly generate: Clash at Dawn, Treasure Hunt, and Seize the Relic. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can play the other ones too if you wanted to, but they suggest you play these ones. Pickup games, they suggest if you want to, you can use any renown limit you want, like we covered, 50, 75, 100, 200, 500. Might as well just play a game of Age of Sigmar.
There's even a small section here about playing in tournaments with this system.
Yep, they have a whole spiel about tournaments, and
Recommending that you start with a renown value of 50.
Yep, and then you sequence out into bigger games as the tournament goes on. So it starts at 50, then it goes up to 75, then 100, and then you calculate victory points. So if you have a major victory, you get 30 victory points for yourself. Minor victories 20, 10 for a draw, 5 for a loss, and then whoever has the most victory points at the end of the tournament just wins the tournament.
Yep.
Yep, very simple. And then there's even a little segment for house rules. What does this one say? There are countless ways to customize your games. You may wish to place restrictions on certain types of units.
Okay.
Yeah, of course, like Storm Fiends.
Hey.
Or Doom Wheels.
Hey, I like those.
Or Beastclaw Raiders.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I think we can house rule them.
Those with missile weapons with a range of greater than 12 inches. Or only allow players to include a single wizard in their warband. Each
Okay.
of these tweaks to the rules can provide a new and interesting challenge to players. You know what? They give you a couple examples of stuff they might see come up as an issue, but they didn't want to restrict you as players.
Exactly, and,
So,
and I like the fact that they're hinting at it,
Yep.
which I think was what we were saying earlier, that, this game has a lot of open-ended ways that you could customize and build your own.
Yeah, because you build
change a few rules and still keep it balanced within its system. So I like that they're actually, suggest that you do that.
Yeah, because you have so many options to build your warband. You have all 4 Grand Allegiances. You can just build anything you want. And with doing that, there's ways to kind of find some cheese.
Yep.
But again, you can always host rule it out.
Oh, of course. And hopefully they continue to be printing these rules as they make new miniatures, because, of course, there's always new things coming out.
Yeah.
So it would be nice that they constantly keep giving you skirmish points values and, unit mins and maxes for each of the new additional units, just like they do for the normal match play scenarios.
I just find it funny that Stormcast Eternals have the biggest list.
I kind of have that expected.
Are you surprised?
No,
it's just
not
like
at
the
all.
poster boys. Look at this. Look how crazy that is. I don't know. It's hard to show maybe on the camera, but it's just half a page.
Literally
Whereas
half.
everyone else is like maybe like a tenth of the page. Stormcast Eternals. Bam.
Now, again, a lot of it is like the difference between, you get the, what is there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different knights. You get the 4 different Lord Relector, Lord Celestin. So it's just a lot of a little bit name changes
But they get 27 options of War Scrolls they could take. Whereas the next biggest one is maybe
Fire Slayers isn't too bad. Bloodbound definitely.
I guess Bloodbound would be the next best one. But even Bloodbound only has 15 compared to the 27 of the Stormcast Eternals.
So again, when they start to make more of the unit specific, and actually, are the new dwarves in here?
Yeah, the Fire Slayers. Oh no, the what are they called? The Fly Dwarves.
They're not dwarves.
They're not in here. I noticed that they're not in here.
Okay.
Bam. The Caradron Overlords.
There we go. Okay, cool.
Right there.
So they are in there. Awesome.
So, and it looks like you can actually pretty much bring everything that they have shown right now, except.
So again, just like most things, I think, except probably some of
Except
the
the vehicles. You don't get the vehicles. None of the big stuff. So you can get your Arcanaut Company. You can bring 1 War Scroll of up to 20 of them. 2 points a model. The Aether Chemist. He's a hero in general. It's 20 points for him. Etheric Navigator, same thing. 20 points for him.
The Admiral.
Arcanaut Admiral, 28 points for him. Now, you're not starting a warband with that guy.
No. He must be quite good.
Endrin Master, Endrin Riggers, Gundrock Thunderers, Gunstock Thunderers, and Skywardens. The Skywardens are, you only have 3 of them.
So again, it seems like those armies, of course, made for Age of Sigmar definitely are more favored for things like this, and the Iron Jaws have all of their options, of course, again, except for their big duder there. So I want to see what happens when they make more.
Yeah. You know what? After looking at this, I see a few lists I would love to make already.
I think I just saw Demigryph Knights, which...
Did you really?
Right there. It says Demigryph Knights.
You're only going to have 3 of them, and they're 11 points a model.
Yeah, but
11 points seems cheap.
good thing I have
I
three.
house rule them out.
Nope.
I'd like to go with an assassin build, assassin Dark Riders, and that's kind of.
But
cool.
I think that's it.
Yeah, that is it. That's the entire book. It's a short book. It's just Warhammer Age of Sigmar skirmish games in the Age of Sigmar.
Yep.
Wonderful. Well, yeah. Anyways,
Thank you guys for watching.
and if you want to go check out that game,
Yeah, we did play a game in the vault, so if you want to watch that, please subscribe for a 7-day free membership for the MiniWarGaming Vault at the link below. And definitely get on that, because I think this is an interesting thing that some of you will want to check out.
the game was pretty funny.
I just no spoilers, but it was fun and funny.
Anyways, thank you guys, and happy wargaming.